Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Cacao Day to you today.
Oh my God. I left my cacao in the kitchen with.
Oh my goodness. Well, if you want to run and get it, and I will in the meantime show off my beautiful mug.
The thing is that I even have to boil the water, so
Oh,
we'll be fine.
you're
I'll
missing
have it
out.
after. I'll
That's
have it
okay.
after.
I have a giant cauldron of cacao today. I absolutely love today's mug. I'm going to give it a little plug. Look how cute it is. The Velvet Moon Crochet. This is my friend Emily's brand, but it is. Look how sparkly it is.
I love sparkles.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like sparkles. I don't like actual glitter. We all know that I have a heavy duty no glitter policy in my life. Um, it's kind of funny because the other day we went, not quite off-roading, but we went exploring in this area and we ended up near this, I don't know, body of water. And the little like beach area, and I use the term beach like super loosely. It's just like the dirt next to the water, right? It was sparkly everywhere. And I was like, what is this? Because I've never seen that in nature. And I don't know, I've never seen nature's glitter before. So part of me was like, is this glass everywhere? But it couldn't have been. There was so much of it everywhere. So like in pool, I leaned down and I touched it. And then sure enough, it was just like I still don't know what it was, but the shrapnel of the glitter was there's big chunks and little tiny little like the size of a grain of sand type glitter. So I don't know what natural phenomenon it is, but there's warning, there's glitter in nature.
There is glitter and sparkle in nature. Where do you think we got the idea to make glitter from? So,
The glittery things that I can think of are like dragonfly wings and bees wings, right? Things like that. But all of that iridescence stays on the animal. You see what I mean? Like this is adorable. Glitter, but see, it doesn't come off. That's my allergy. I don't want it sticking to me.
well, and in general, glitter is not good for nature,
Anything.
animals, all of that. So people contain your glitter. Um, as fun as it is.
As fun as it is, I know. I constantly get asked to do those photo shoots where people are like blowing glitter to the camera, and I was like, I would rather like just naked in the slow. Like, no, it's just not. No, just not.
Um, and with that, like we do have what are like the color run, where like people are,
Yeah, they throw
yes, you know what I'm
colored
talking about. I
powder.
hope the audience
Mhm.
knows what I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure that came out of like, because I love watching Indian Bollywood movies, like with all the dancing and the music. I know I was Indian in at least one of my past lives. Um, but they like throw these colored paints on each other during their like I want to know more about that. I don't really have much um like it has to come from something because it seems like it's ancient, like it must have meaning, and I don't know, I'm very curious about it, but I think because you see them like blowing the colors and throwing and so
Yeah.
I suspect that there is some like beautiful spiritual something to that, or maybe there's not. I don't know. Maybe someone Indian out there is watching me and can educate me on what that's all about. Um, and then I wonder, like, if you know the history behind it, might it change your opinion?
Beautiful and still no. I will tell you that from a photography standpoint, there are companies that will rent out equipment and around those festival times, they have giant warnings on their website that say, do not rent our equipment and take it to these events because the powder is so fine that it works its way into the equipment and then you can't get
Mm,
it out. It's literally ruined. You'd have to wash it in a bucket of soap. You know what I mean? Like you literally can't get it off.
right.
So all I can think of is that going like into your lungs. Like, okay, this is totally random, but you know who I always worry about? You know, in New Orleans, there's Cafe du Monde, and they're famous for their beignets and all that powdered sugar everywhere. Like, what happens to those people that work there and all of that powdered sugar ends up in their lungs? Doesn't it? I mean, it has to, right? So I don't
Yeah,
know.
I like. There's
If
the
anyone
piece of
has
me that's
insight,
like, what?
if anyone has insight, I'm dying
Oh,
to know.
insight.
Like, I know
Yeah,
what happens if you
we need
smoke
a
a lot.
pulmonologist. Is there any pulmonologists out there? Um, there's the piece of me that's like, even when it's, um, it just kind of dissolves in your mouth, and I don't know. I wonder how much of it would actually make it to the lungs, and how much of it's just gonna attach to the linings of your mouth and your throat and just be absorbed, dissolved as food. I don't know.
I don't
Don't.
know, but that's like I imagine you can't be diabetic and work there because you're absorbing it into your system, right? So it's interesting. It's interesting. I would like to see a study. That's what
There you go. There might be one out there already. You never know.
I'm sure there is. I bet you there's a workers' comp. I'm going to Google it. I bet there's a workers' comp claim for sugar inhalation at Cafe Du Monde in New Orleans. Bet you 20 bucks. I mean, I'm still going to go and buy the beignets. Don't get me wrong, but like, I kind of want to see them wearing masks. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be the smarter thing to do. Yeah, I don't know what I was watching, but I've lately have been watching some like old period movies, like when people wore like the big huge wigs and had all the powder on, and just like, and you hear the stories about, like the Mad Hatter went mad because of what was in the products that he was using, and hearing things about like different dyes that they used on clothing and how they like, you know, created disease and stuff. And um it's been a problem throughout time, and like, when are we going to stop poisoning ourselves and poisoning the world? When are we going to get smart enough?
Well, if it's any consolation, every generation gets a tiny bit smarter than the one before, hopefully. And,
Well, it's like we
as we
take away
learn
one
what
problem, but we replace it with a different problem. Like we remove this one toxin, but then someone creates a new one that at the time seems like, oh, this great thing. But then all of a sudden we find out, no, it's actually bad for you. And so then they got to take it away. And we're like, okay, we took it away. But then somebody creates something new. Stop
you know,
creating toxic stuff, people.
off-grid living, here we come.
Yes. And that you say that. So that's been popping up in my feed. Like somehow Facebook knows that I do fantasize about living off the grid with my solar power. And I also, I think it was my sister-in-law posted a reel or something about showing off your wealth. And it was people who had chickens, like showing off their eggs, and being, extravagant with their egg use when, eggs are $12 a dozen or whatever they are now. Um,
Mm.
and But Facebook knows, and so it's showing me tiny houses. I get all
Mhm.
these ads in my feed for people like looking for people to come move to their off-grid community, and so
I was going to
it,
say, if there were a time to do it, the time is now. I mean, we have so much access to information and we have so much access to, you know, courses and books. I mean, there's literally courses that teach you how to live like this, and you know how it is. The more you dig in, the more you learn, and the more people that you see that want to help you and teach you. So yeah, it's, you know,
but you got to get it now in the paper version, because the internet's going to go, and we won't have all that easy access to Google and everything else that teaches us what we want.
well, and that's why I love a good book. I mean, of all the books I have a few survivalist books in there too. You never know. Like to stay ready.
Yes,
But
indeed.
yeah, you just got to be willing to let all this go. As my friend Corinne used to say, it's just a decision. You just decide.
No, absolutely. So our topic today, um, the sacred feminine. And it's interesting because when I was, checking out, yeah, what is our topic for today? And there was a little piece of me that felt like we've talked about feminine energy. Like, I, I don't know if I have more to say about it. I feel like we've talked about it so much already. But it's it's interesting. I feel like women, we have made great strides in recent years in connecting more with our feminine energy, because we're still living in this patriarchal society that we've created together. Men and women have created this patriarchal, masculine, dominant world together. Men didn't create this alone, we created it with them. Um, and I don't know, it's just interesting to me how long it's persisted. And I'm like, come on, people, snap out of it already. How are you feeling about it, Graciela?
About the patriarchy or about feminine energy?
Well, feminine energy.
I think it's important to be reminded, and I'm speaking for myself, that being in feminine energy and using feminine and masculine energies in balance is a practice. Rarely have I studied something and said, okay, that's it. I'm an expert. I need to know nothing more. Inevitably, I end up relearning the basics with a new viewpoint, a much older viewpoint, a different phase of my life and whatnot. And so even the basics are still vital, right? I still need reminders, um, of some of those basic things. So I don't mind talking about feminine energy. I hear it differently every time that we talk about it, and we always have somebody new listening, so I'm okay with that. So the question is, how does it show up in our lives? Like, me, I love taking all of these spiritual ideas and distilling it into, okay, how does this show up in my life right now? How am I seeing it today? So I know everyone thinks, oh, it means being soft, it means being sweet, it means being kind, which is true. All of those things are nice and wonderful. And feminine energy is very powerful, right? I mean, we're also the creators of human life, the portal. Um, and that's pretty strong. That's pretty powerful. So what do you think? I mean, how do you see it showing up in life?
Well, and what you were saying right there, I think there is so much misconception that the feminine is weak when um, I love, being in spiritual communities, the indigenous communities, and the mystery school communities. Like, they all recognize that the feminine is the powerful one, and that nothing exists without the feminine, because it's the feminine energy that creates. And so um, I think where the misconception comes in is that power is equated with strength, and power and strength are not the same thing. And yes, typically men are physically stronger than women, but even this weekend I was with a group of people, and the men were acknowledging that um, on so many levels women are not physically stronger, but in every other measurable way stronger than men. And so and I feel like a lot of this came from the feminist movement, when it was like women were fighting for their rights. And
Still are.
um,
Yes.
what I want to say there is like this whole concept of fighting, like fighting, like there's when we fight, there's a winner and a loser, and we need to stop fighting
Mm.
because it's not about fighting. It's about um, creating the win-win. And so, how do you create win-win? You don't create win-win by fighting. And yes, I get that possibly for us to get to where we are today, like some fighting had to occur. But at some point, we as humans need to stop fighting. Like, tell me where war has actually created um, the highest good for all. Like, no, never. Somebody wins, somebody loses. Maybe some things positive come out of it, but I, I there's a better way than fighting in war, and it's not going to get us ultimately to where we want to
Mhm.
go. You like glitched my brain there.
I didn't. Well, what I will say, you know, is the balance between masculine and feminine and how you do need both, right? Because yes, we need the feminine part of it is also like creativity, right? Like sitting down and coming up with ideas, finding ways to accomplish the things you want to accomplish, whether it's, equality in the world, or I don't know, how to get this tree off my driveway that fell over, right? Like it doesn't matter. Whatever the task at hand is, and all of these things do require action, and to your point, action and fighting are two different things. Just because you are taking action doesn't mean you are fighting. Fighting connotes resistance, like you said, and I agree about, a winner and a loser, and that's not really the right word. I think, if I'm not mistaken, in the cancer community, they are moving away from the terms of warfare, like battling cancer and fighting cancer, because truly the person, with cancer is just doing the best they can, right? And so if they lost their battle with cancer, like it diminishes that person's win of living a full life, right? So I think that's really what I'm hearing, is it's the fighting, right? It's not the action. The action is important, and the action is masculine, and we need that. And thank God, because I get a lot of shit done doing that. Um, but when I add in like rituals like cacao ceremonies, journaling, paying attention to the moon cycles, living cyclically, paying attention to the seasons, those things are feminine. It's funny because my partner said to me the other day, he said, you know what? You're right. I think I'm gonna take the winter off next year. Not from work, but like from his outside projects. He works outside every weekend. He loves being outside. And he had a lot of resistance, as did I, with how much we have to slow down here. I know we said we weren't going to talk about the weather, but I got to talk about the weather again. Like it just blows my mind how much the weather really forced us to stop and slow down, because you couldn't go outside and work on a vehicle if it was freezing cold outside. It just wasn't fun. And the other day we had a really, really warm day. It was like 59. It was phenomenal. Uh, it was so warm. And he was outside for like 12 hours. I mean, he had so much fun outside. And he's like, and even though he was doing a masculine task, quote unquote, in that he was being in action, he was working on his vehicle, he was in his feminine, in the sense that he was going with the season. The earth opened up, we got a warm day, he felt good, he was like, come feel the air, like it feels so good out here. um and that's really, and what a beautiful flow state he was in, even though he was doing something very masculine, like he took my car apart and put it back together. I don't know how he did it, but that's that I'm gonna call that a boy thing for the moment. But it's that masculine pushing through and fighting against the weather that was so difficult for both of us in winter, you know? So yeah, that's one way that I see it showing up for us.
Um, Also a big one, feminine energy is receiving. And so tapping into that, you know, everybody's in their abundance issues and their, so to be in the flow of receiving will create more abundance in your life. Um, and also, like for me, um, when I became more aware of I'm in too much in my masculine and I need to tap more into my feminine energy, one of the simple ways that I started working on that was just receiving simple things from people. Like if someone offered to carry something for me, oh, yeah, sure, that would be wonderful. Even though I'm like, I'm perfectly capable of carrying this myself, but oh, they're offering, sure, let me receive that gift of them carrying this for me. Or someone opening the door, allowing that and receiving that. Someone, this is the worst one. Like people are horrible at receiving compliments. Like someone gives you a compliment, just say thank you, but it's like we do this thing. I even did it a little bit yesterday. Someone complimented my hair, and instead of just saying thank you, I was like, oh, thank you. I washed it. Like putting a, a condition on the why my hair looked like it just looks good because it looks
Yeah.
good.
And I will say, like, you know, I in when it wow, okay, I wish I could have cut out those ums and ums. Um, because I had like 7 thoughts come in my head at the same time. Let me distill
Right.
that. I think it's important to be kind to ourselves when we talk about things like that. Like pushing off a compliment is not an indication of I hate myself and I can't love myself. It's programming. Someone told you that being humble was Christ-like and that any self-love whatsoever is narcissistic and is unhealthy and you don't get into the kingdom of heaven like that, right? Like and I mean that's how I was raised, right? The school that I went to. And so any self uh, self-love, so to speak, or it borders too close to ego. And so that's what I did for years is I removed it. So every time I got a compliment, I was like, oh my gosh, this person is ridiculous. I'm not that great. I'm not that great, you know? And then one day I look over at my shelf and I have like 7 awards and I'm like, maybe I'm something. Like maybe it's okay to say, you know what, I am really good at this. I am a person who does care, and I am all of these things. And so, there is a tipping point. You don't want to become a megalomaniac who only thinks of themselves and doesn't think of others because you love yourself so much. That's not what we're talking about. But it's okay to accept a compliment and acknowledge that you've done the work. I think I've said this before. I was on a podcast once and you submit your bio and this woman read my bio word for word and she read it really slowly and intentionally and it kind of got me like teary. Like I had to sit there for a minute and be like, man, I have accomplished quite a bit. And not to say that the value in it was loving myself. The value in it was that it empowered me to do more because as a creator, as a creative person, an entrepreneur, I'm always questioning myself. Is this good enough? Does anybody even want what I'm selling? Like, am I even worth it? All these things that go through that creative mind. And hearing that, I was like, you know what? I am capable of this. Let me move forward, and that birthed another version of whatever else I was working on. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
so the point is be kind to yourself. It's not your fault. And allow yourself to receive that, and just try it on. If you don't like it, you can go back to not receiving it. You really can. You can live whatever life you want.
This
You
is
don't,
true.
you
This
don't,
I tell people all the time, like, check things out, and if it resonates with you, keep it, and if it doesn't resonate with you, let it go. I also say, when I look at where I sit now versus, 20, 30, however many years ago, there are things that came to me that at the time I was like, no, that doesn't resonate. But then you flash forward 10 years and that's like, oh, that thing that the universe wanted me to pick up back then that just didn't fit. Like now, with all the other things that I've been through, it fits now. So now I can take that on. And when you take something on, like know that it might not stay with you forever either. There may come a point where you go like, oh yeah, I thought that was my truth, but that isn't anymore. And so I'm ready to let that go. Um
I love that.
yeah. And even like it seems ridiculous to me on some level, but one of the things too that I did to help me tap into my feminine more was literally like wearing more dresses. And you know, it is clothing, it is, but being in a dress and like just the flow of it, that flow is feminine. And um putting that on, like, as weird, because even like I remember as a kid I wore dresses so much, and then becoming a physical therapist, like, wasn't very functional to wear a dress to work, so it was always pants. And as my work evolved and not working in hospitals, and um I still do work with children some, but not in the sense of I'm getting on the floor and, you know, doing heavy lifting with them anymore. But, I've evolved my practice to where I can actually wear a dress to work. And it is kind of fun to be in that flow state.
And the truth is, it is a physical reminder to be in the feminine, right? There are plenty of people, plenty of people that don't wear dresses. Like, you don't need to wear a dress. No one's saying wear a dress. What we're saying is figure out a way to remind yourself to receive. And maybe that means putting a fountain in your area, or a little, reminder of something. Like, my desk is full of symbols. If I were to turn this around, y'all would freak out. But there's all sorts of things on my desk, and they're all reminders, right? Reminders to stay positive, reminders to, stay soft, reminders to stay understanding, reminders to take action, all of those good things. So I am curious, and we say this almost every episode. What about you? What about you guys? Especially our faithful followers. I know you guys are there, and I know you guys are listening to all of our shows. And a few of you do reach out and tell us. So, answer today's question: What does divine feminine energy mean to you? How do you feel it? Do you feel that it could be blocked somewhere? Do you notice that? Um, and then, of course, I want to tell you all about our big juicy retreat that's coming up, where we're going to put
Well,
all of these things in balance.
yeah. Well, and you brought up water. Water is feminine, and earth is feminine. So those are the two feminine elements that we're going to deal with on our four elements retreat. And then fire and air are the masculine side of the four elements. And it's like, look, even like out there in the elemental world, there's balance between the masculine and the feminine. And looking at how can you use these elements to bring more feminine energy into your life if you need it. And then sometimes we need to tap more into our masculine side. Even when we're women, like, we need that energy to get stuff done. And
Oh yeah, that's how moms lift cars off their babies. I mean,
yeah, but
totally.
definitely something that you'll learn to tune into more if you come along with us on this retreat. And it's everything that we need to succeed and have a loving, happy, joyful, peaceful life. Like, everything that we need to create that exists here within us and in what we have access to around us. and tapping into those things makes life easier, more
Absolutely.
enjoyable.
Absolutely. Plus, like, what a nice break away from, quote unquote, the real world. Um, the joy of my life right now is having my real world mirror my retreat world. And that to me has been a huge win for me, is creating that same feeling that I get when I'm at a retreat in my everyday life. I'm not saying it's all day every day, but I'm saying every day at some point I am feeling that feeling that I feel when I'm at a retreat. Um, and I think it's so attainable, and it's just a matter of somebody showing you the way. You know, I couldn't have gotten to where I am today without all the teachers that taught me, and coaches that helped me along. And so it is truly an honor and a privilege to help guide others, you know. And I am nothing more than anyone else, but we're all on the path, and if somebody can help open a door for you and let you see something that maybe you've been staring at, but you didn't quite know what you were looking at. That's it. That, to me, that's the magic, you know. And it really does take a village. So that's my pitch for today. Come join our village.
Okay. Yes, I want everybody to come join our village, but I also have to say, um, doing the show without Cacao is a big mistake, and I don't think I will ever allow that to happen again. Uh, when you don't have it, and that's the beauty sometimes of, even, I think, like, when we're, people who are taking supplements, and you're wondering, like, is this doing anything for me? Like, stop taking them for a while and see, like, do you feel less good than what you did when you were taking them? I definitely felt less good, less focused, less inspired doing this episode without my Cacao. I will never let that happen again.
You're forgiven. You're forgiven. Your Cacao
Well,
loves you anyway.
um, again, like, makes me aware of, we talk about Cacao all the time, and I think sometimes people might think that we're exaggerating or being ridiculous about it, but uh, it truly has a very strong positive impact on my daily life. And you can't understand it until you actually try it. So if you haven't had some Cacao,
That's right. That's right.
have some
It
Cacao.
is called Cacao Conversations for a reason.
Absolutely. All right. We got anything else for today?
I think we've bombarded our fans enough. I am
Um,
excited for the future. I'm excited for our retreat. We have a comment. Vanessa Seltzer, letting my nurturing side out fully helps me connect with my feminine, flowing love. Beautiful.
Thank
And,
you.
you know, specifically for
Wait,
Vanessa,
we
uh,
got another one.
go ahead.
Oh, Jill. Thank you, Julietta. I finally understand what amazing feels like. No words can give justice. It is truly beyond amazing. Wow, incredible. Yeah, Jill had a session with me yesterday. And it was in that space of, like, I try and explain what I do. And the only way to understand what I do is come and experience what I do. And even after you've experienced what I do, can you explain it to somebody else? And she had other people telling her, like, you just gotta go. But people want
I
to
think
know,
that
and the
that's
only
the
way to know is to show up. So
Yeah, that's the best testimonial, that I get that all the time. People always ask, well, what does she do? What does she do in a session that makes it whatever? And the answer is always like, I don't know, she's just herself. It just does something. So Jill, I was the biggest skeptic because I had no clue. Just go, just go. Yes, look at that. That's like 6 exclamation points. That's better than a 5-star review. 6 exclamation
right,
points.
right.
How wonderful, Jill. I'm so excited that you had a great session. I'm coming down to South Florida soon, and the first thing I'm going to do is go to Julietta. So
So
yes, we all
I
need
think,
to take care of
like,
each other.
and yes, there is that aspect to the work that we create one-on-one, and there's also like the retreats. While they're not one-on-one sessions with us, um, someone said to me the other day, "Oh, this person does retreats, but they're not retreats like the retreats that you and Graciela do." And
Mhm.
there is something unique about our retreats that you can only get by coming and experiencing it. You're not going to. There's no way to explain it, but other people have acknowledged, and you listen to the testimonial videos that we have, and it's an experience that you can't put into words. You just have to go to experience it to understand. And so if you're thinking
And,
about it
and
at
I
all,
And I will add that really we're just opening the doors for you all to have your own experiences with each other, because really it's that, and we talked about this, I think. When did we talk about? Oh, on our webinar, the webinar we did recently, which version, not a version, a copy of that is up all over the internet. You can find it on Facebook and YouTube and whatnot. But in there, we talked about the four elements, and we talked about how you can include them in your life on a daily basis. But in there, we really also talked about the power of community and what happens when you come together. And community doesn't mean 75 people, community can mean the 10 people that are in this intimate group with you. And I really think it's how we are meant to live as human beings. I heard something the other day that said our brains are not meant to know everything that's happening all over the world all at the same time. Before the invention of media and rapid information exchange, we only knew the 150 people in our village, and we that was the story that we knew, and it's a totally different life. So even though, yes, I feel that world news is vitally important and we should know what's going on, I think there is so much flow and gift in being in a small group. And you are just heard so much easier. You're able to speak so much easier. I know so many women in particular that have so much to say and can never get it out. They just feel trapped. And they don't know who to say it to, because they want to say something and it might be negative, perceived as negative. And we're all in this toxic positivity life that's going on right now. I'm here to receive that. Like I appreciate hearing that, and I appreciate saying those things myself. So anyway, before I get too far gone here, check out the retreat. If you feel any draw to it at all, it is a sign. It does mean something. If you have a spark of curiosity, give us a call. We will talk with you. We will work it out with you. We will make it happen. This is all divine and ordained, and I just can't wait. So join us.
yes. And I'm like laughing because we were signing off and saying goodbye 8 minutes ago, but here we go now.
Well, you're
Not to make
honorary Hispanic.